talking about the necessity of self-defense. We are talking about firearm, or ownership of firearms is uniquely necessary as following reasons. Number one, without use of firearms and ownership of firearms, you cannot sufficiently or substantially protect yourself with the use of other alternative instruments. I don't understand what kind of alternative instruments they assume in the debate. Number two, the level of deterrence is largely different. They themselves said the use and possession of gun may be strong deterrence towards police and creates fear. And that's good. That's exactly the reason why we can sufficiently protect the most valuable people in the world, like racial minority, living in an area in which there's no political will to increase the police in the first place, or women who lack the physical capability to defend themselves. Thereby, the entire argumentation about deterrence and fear also works for bad people that we would like to fight against. Thereby, use of gun is uniquely necessary here. Number three, the concession of that side of the house is they are totally okay with the use of a stun gun, taser, and the use of a secom and other types of things. Then they're exactly the same problem like a fear and possibility of a police danger we still have on their side of the house. And their line is very fragile. Fatality, whether it's lethal or not. Mr. Speaker, other things can be also lethal and fatal, like irrational use of automobile or car, irrational use of bottles, irrational use of knife. Their line is fundamentally superficial and fragile. Thereby, we don't accept any principle justification of their side of the house. Let's move on to the first clash point about collective outcomes versus individual rights. Number one, they say there are some people who irrationally and improperly use this kind of tool. Thereby, the people who have fighting in the bar have a propensity to turn into the conflagration. But that's not really the reason to deprive the rest of society, who are completely rational, of their right to defend themselves with the use of firearms. Because these rational individuals are not responsible for the outcome that some minority or some number of other bad people are causing. Thereby, if criminals use guns and kill people, then we should punish criminals. We shouldn't, punish those who properly use guns. Thereby, their side is punishing the wrong actors from the aspect of administration. You are depriving the wrong actors the right to defend themselves. If there are people who misuse that, we should deal with those people rather than completely abolishing the use of firearms in general. Not the logical fallacy of their side of the house. No, thank you. Second of all, they pointed out the contradiction of our side of the house. If the self-defense is fundamentally universal, why can't we make an exception? We believe, administratively speaking, it is completely reasonable to make a certain exception based on rationality. For example, the criminals don't have a right to vote because they lack rationality to comply with the law and order in society. For example, the driving car, it requires a license, right? It's a human right. It's fundamental right to drive a car, but it requires a license in order to guarantee a certain level of rationality and mental stability. We don't allow insane people or drunken people to sign the contracts, even though you have fundamental right to sign the contracts in order to create benefit for yourself. We believe the rationality or the external level, reasonable level of rationality that can be measured by administration is a reasonable criteria to make an exception on the legislation. No, thank you. I will take it later. Third of all, they say if it is a universal right, why doesn't every other country usually legalize this kind of ownership of firearms? That's because of the unique geopolitical structure of the United States, Mr. Speaker. There is a limit upon the financial capacity of the state to protect everyone. There's a limit upon the resources, political resources, and security resources. Thereby, it's financially, politically infeasible for the state to provide security protection in every single area. Thereby, because state can protect yourself, state has no right to take away your right to defend yourself in a substantial or sufficient manner. That's why we believe use of gun is completely necessary here. Let's move on to the next issue. Thomas, go.
So driving a car isn't a fundamental right. Speech is. Should we limit speech based on rationality?
Mr. Speaker, first of all, criminals and terrorists don't reserve fundamental, infinite amount of free speech right. That's why we censor the videos of ISIS, because they are fundamentally irrational, and to the extent that they cannot rationally measure the level of outcome. More than that, we don't have a defamation law in the United States of America uniquely, unlike any other country. That shows that some marginal level of differences, social harm, it's so culturally accepted in those countries. No, thank you. Moving on to the next issue, who will be victimized and who will be punished? They say police is endangered because they are afraid of being shot. No, police can also take advantage of the use of guns. For example, you can catch suspects in red-handed when you have firearms, because you can effectively catch these people and shut them up of these suspects. But second of all, their fundamental premise is that police is always on the side of society and community. That's not really the case. There are some cases in which police are enemy for community. Their Ferguson instance that symbolizes the abuse of state power. The only response of that side we have is the reason why the police justifiably shoot the boy is because police could say the boy could have guns. There's no absolute actual possibility that the teenager boys have guns. Thereby, we punish these police. That shows that they cannot guarantee proper use of guns by the police institutions. Thereby, we don't understand why their argumentations about police endangerment is such an important issue, to the extent that we can legitimately ban all ownership of guns. More than that, Mr. Speaker, they considered the price for the gun is extremely expensive, that way more so in the black market. Thereby, the financial disparity between the ordinary civilians and the criminal organizations with tons of money will be exacerbated on their side of the house. If that happens, the level of fear will increase on your side. No, second of all, the criminal organizations don't care whether they are punished or prosecuted or arrested in the first place. That's why they are fundamentally criminal organizations in the first place, engaging in human trafficking or prostitution or drug trafficking. You can't stop these people. They have pre-existing networks with Mexico, the gun producers. How can you deal with those things? More than that, the kind of people we would like to address in the debate is the vulnerable people with physical incapacity, or those kinds of people living in an area that are politically abundant. They are deprioritized in the allocation of political resources. Therefore, it's impossible to increase the number of police in those politically abundant areas. Finally, about argumentations about fear, 7,000 black tools. Number one, there's the game theory works, but the existence of game theory is not a reason to abolish free choices, because whether you opt in a cycle of fear, whether you opt in the cycle of game theory, is based on your own free choices, Mr. Speaker. The other people are job hunting now, other people are studying for the entrance exam now. They create game theory, but it's my choice to decide whether to opt in this kind of game cycle theory. The second of all, something else will substitute guns, such as taser and knife and electric standards that they talked about. That will cause exactly the same level of fear on your side of the house. Mr. Speaker, none of their argumentation is mutually exclusive. They cannot justify to the extent that we can completely abolish the use of guns in general. We are happy to oppose. Thank you.